today's news.
Hello and welcome to Old News. Today's news seen through the papers of yesteryear. And what could be more current than the Parish Walk, only just finished as we speak, one of the great sporting events on the Isle of Man's calendar. And it has been around for years. Been around, gone away, come back again. Lots documented in the papers, as you can imagine. Let's cast our eyes back to the Isle of Man Examiner of Friday, May the 18th, 1923. Yesterday marked the occasion of two great sporting events in the Isle of Man, both organised by our contemporary, the Isle of Man Times, and carried out under the auspices of the Manx National Sporting Club. Undoubtedly, the more noteworthy event of the two was the wonderful feat of endurance performed by Mr. Gerald Brydson, MHK, who accomplished the Parish Walk of 80 miles in 20 hours, 23 minutes, and arrived at the end of his wonderful journey, in the words of Dr. Lionel Wood, very fit. His fellow competitor in this contest, relatively small event then, Mr. Harry Brydson, the veteran champion walker, succeeded in reaching Ramsey, but was compelled to retire there. In 1913, 11 competitors took part in this event, Harry Brydson winning it in 18 hours, 59 minutes. In the same year, E. Garrett from Peel was second, being 1 hour, 9 minutes later, and R. Quayle from Lezayre came third, being 3 hours, 3 minutes behind the winner. In 1852, John Cannell covered a distance estimated at 77 miles in 23 hours, 45 minutes. And in 1864, Colonel Anderson touched every parish church door in the island in a walk which took him 18 hours, 34 minutes, and he estimated the distance covered at 73 miles. The men started from the palace at 1 a.m. yesterday. The conditions governing the race stipulated that the men had to touch the door of each of the 17 country parish churches in the island, the race coming to a conclusion in the palace ballroom. At Marown, Harry Brydson made a serious mistake by taking the wrong road and going on to St. Mark's instead of the road through the Braid and thence to Santon. This enabled Gerald Brydson to obtain a good lead of 19 minutes, which he maintained. When the terrible weather conditions of the early part of Thursday morning are taken into consideration, one can only feel a great admiration for the perseverance and wonderful physical powers of both competitors, and especially of the winner. Amen to that. In 1933, in the Isle of Man Examiner, Friday the 4th of August, we hear that there was a vain bid for a parish walk record, an unsuccessful attempt to lower the record for the parish walk, during which one has to touch the doors, as we know, of the 17 parish churches, was made this week by the New Zealander Harry Clouston, who's been over here since the early part of last month, when he arrived and reported that he was on his way hiking around the world. Clouston left the Palace Douglas at 6 o'clock on Monday evening, but an enforced rested Kirkmichael banished any chance he might have had in succeeding in his attempt, and it was not until after 5 o'clock on Wednesday morning, 36 hours after starting, he arrived back at the Palace. The distance of the walk, approximately 80 miles, and what is held to be the record for the course, was made by the late Harry Brydson, who we've just heard of Douglas, who in a race held in 1913 occupied 18 hours and 56 minutes on the journey. Accompanied by Mr. H. Killier on a bicycle, Mr. Clouston made a start on Monday evening in very unsuitable weather. There was a strong westerly gale blowing, and it was this that largely contributed to his undoing. He lost no time in reaching the south of the island, having gone by way of Braddon, Marown and Santon, but the journey to Patrick, entailing a climb of the mountainous district of Dorby, proved a stiff task. It was almost impossible to walk upright without being blown down by the strong wind, and his hard toiling on this stretch made his feet so sore that he could not resist an invitation to rest in the house of a Michael resident. I can hardly blame him. In the Isle of Man Times of Friday the 26th of February 1960, in the column called At Random by Islander, we read, "Why not revive the Parish Walk? Long-distance walking is proving such a big attraction in England at the moment, I'm prompted to suggest a revival of the walk to the 17 parishes of the island," says the writer. This was quite an event in bygone years, arousing considerable interest over a distance of up to 80 miles, and our files contain a number of reports of strenuous walking tests over the roads and byroads and across the fields. Some excellent performances are on record, and with a number of Douglas schoolboys showing an eagerness for marathon walking last week, perhaps one of our local organisations might sponsor a competition. it would be bound to attract a worthwhile entry, and the novelty of night walking should add to its attraction. Hence we come to the Ramsey Courier of Friday the 28th of April the following year, 1961. Parish Walk starts tonight, 89 entrants, including 25 women. Last year there were 38 starters in the 85 miles around the parish's walk, and this year the entry received is 89, of whom 24 are women and girls. The Parish Walk, organised by the Manx AAA, begins tonight, Friday at 7 o'clock, from a point near St George's Church in Douglas. We're also told Jim Roscoe of Luaig, who's in last year's event and was among the leaders up to Mackle Church where he gave up, is not competing because he goes away tomorrow. In 1961, the Isle of Man Times reported on the youngest parish walker. When the 80-odd competitors in the parish walk set out on their gruelling march on Friday evening, the youngest will be a girl who is a typical teenager, bursting with energy and bursting to prove she can complete the walk, or at least have a jolly good try. Helen Callow of Hutchinson Square in Douglas is a member of Onken Youth Club and is probably the best walker amongst the girls. But unfortunately, and much to her disappointment, she's too young to represent the club in the official team. Undeterred, however, Helen is going to compete as an individual, and a fine picture of her looking what can only be described as very miserable indeed. I don't know if she's still going. Bless you if you are, Helen. Get in touch and let us know. She's also reported as being, in the short space of time that Helen has been a member of the club, she has walked the TT course 3 times. The long walks didn't seem to trouble her at all, and she had been seen at the club on the same evenings jiving energetically to the record player. When asked if she would be repeating her TT course walks, she replied, "No, I don't think so. It gets very dull after doing it 3 times. You get to know the course too well." In the green final, long gone, of Saturday, April the 20th, 1963, 79 were entered for the parish walk, we were told, with a last-minute acceptance of a second team for the veteran relay section of the parish walk next weekend. Entries now totalling 79, 15 ladies, 56 men, and 2 4-man teams of veterans, those of 45 years and over. And finally, staying with the green final, Saturday, September the 7th, 1963. If you couldn't do the parish walk, what about the little parish walk? The winner of Onken United Harriers' Little Parish Walk on Sunday, over a 12.5-mile course, though elsewhere I see it was related as 125 miles, was John Cannell of the Laxey Heralds. His time for the distance was 1 hour, 57 minutes, 37 seconds, 33 seconds faster than the next finisher, Doug Allen of the Promoting Club, who, unfortunately, lost his lead when he fell in the water splash at Glenroy, but gamely carried on to the finish, soaking wet and with an injured back. They're made of tough stuff, these parish walkers, whether it's a big parish walk or a little parish walk. Well done to them all, and well done to all of this year's competitors. And never forget, it's news today, but it's old news as well, of course. Cheerio.
You're gonna be yesterday's news.